So now we are going to talk about the band evaluators. Particularly, we are going to describe each one of those band evaluators. So the first one is, as you can see, it is task response. So what is task response? See, task response means the examiner is looking for your ideas. I mean, what type of ideas you are presenting, developing or extending. So many of the people ask like whether good ideas, I mean interesting ideas are very important to this context or not. So I would be telling you that the examiners are not looking for interesting or boring ideas. They are looking for focused ideas. They are looking for those ideas which are related to the context of the question. So we call it as relevant ideas. So examiner is not looking for interesting or boring ideas, rather they are looking for those ideas which are actually related to the question, which are relevant to the question. Now, there are 3 pointers to task response. As you can see, number 1, it is addresses all parts of the task. Number 2, clear position. Number 3, main ideas, supported ideas, extension of ideas. Now, what these things are, I am going to tell you in detail. As I told you earlier that task response carries 25% weightage. In the entire Ielts essay part, it carries 25% weightage. That means whenever your band will be evaluated, so 25% marks will be only related to your ideas. So, relevant ideas. Now, we are going to talk about the other thing that is included in it, that is addresses all parts of the task. So as per the band evaluators, the first point is in the task response, that is whether you are addressing all parts of the task or not. So in Ielts generally you will be seeing there would be 2 different arguments would be there. So whether you are able to identify, able to access the part 1, part 2, I mean the argument 1, argument 2, and whether you are able to elaborate it well, that is called addressing all the parts of task. So sometimes this addressing can be partial. That means if your band goes down, that means around 5 or so. So that means you have partially addressed that task. And sometimes it would be like some parts may be fully covered, but others wouldn't be. So in that case it would be like 6 bands around. And if it would be like you'll be covering or you'll be addressing all parts of the task, then you'll be getting a 7 band in this particular task response segment. Now, sometime what happens, like it's like you sufficiently addresses the task. Sufficiently. When you address it sufficiently, then what happens? You get an 8 bander. And sometimes when it is like fully addressing the task, so when you fully address it, then you get a 9 bander. Wow. Okay. So now we are going to, this was all about addressing all parts of the task. That means that in every Ielts question, you need to understand what is argument 1 and what is argument 2. That means if you are talking about something, if you are taking a side, but you have to tell about the other side also. Okay. So we'll be discussing it when we'll be doing a live question. Okay. But first let's turn to the second part of it, that is developing a clear position. So what is a clear position? See, clear position is something wherein you have to take a side. In thesis statement, particularly when you write an introduction, so in the thesis part you will be always be writing that, okay, like this essay will further discuss more about how this is better than that. So this part is better than that. That is what? That is a clear position. So that means sometimes you have to show that where you stand. And not in every Ielts essay, but in the opinion based essays, like agree, disagree, advantages, disadvantages, in which you give your opinion. Okay, to what extent do you agree? So you need to tell clearly that where do you stand? What is your standpoint? Sometimes the development of ideas are not clear, so you will get a lower band, that would be around 5 band or so. But the moment you will be expressing position perfectly, then you will be getting more bands, that is 6 bands. And if it would be a clear position, then you will be getting a 7 band. And if it would be a well-developed response, you will be getting 8. And finally, if it would be like a fully well-developed response, then you will be getting a 9 bander. So it's all about fully developing response.